Hello, friends. Today I'm going to talk to you about my 1937 Harley Davidson Big Inch Flathead build. I got this bike in the fall of 2021 as a project. It came with frame, a motor, a transmission I didn't use, floorboard, seat, a set of aftermarket tanks, part of a front end, and a few other little bits. When I got it, we brought it into the basement workshop and put it up on one of its stands that we have here and did a rough assembly. Got to find out what you have, what you need, what fits, what's correct, at least will it work on this bike. I was lucky enough to have these tanks. I had bought them about 8 years ago out of a scrapyard about half an hour away from my house, and with a lot of work we salvaged them. Had to cut out a lot of pieces, replace a lot of sheet metal on it, replace the filler on one. I mean, it was a lot of work, but extremely rewarding. I got to save a 80-year-old set of gas tanks. So as you go along, you have to put in all these parts and assemble them and figure out what's going to fit. And then you find out what you need. And this is where we end up at this point. It's kind of a, put together. And on this bike, because I got the motor, it was assembled. I had pulled the heads off. I looked at them. There was carbon on them, so it had run. And I thought, you know what? It's not going for a full restoration build because any pre-war Harley is extremely expensive now to restore, and finding correct 37 tanks, 37 fenders would just absolutely blow the budget. So I did this as a build, like a rider's build. I plan on riding this bike. This will be one of my main rides. If you know me or know of me, I love my flatheads, and I ride a lot of vintage 45 cubic inch Harleys. So this one is a really big step up for me. It's a 1937 74 cubic inch 4-speed Harley, but it's really weird. It's really wild that there's a set of Evo pistons, flat top pistons in it, and no one ever had heard of anyone doing this. So I just thought, you know what, there's carbon on it. Let's see if it'll run. So the paint job I put on it was just a rattle can paint. I didn't re-chrome anything, didn't repaint anything. The only thing I did repaint was the tanks and fenders. But everything else is basically as found or pulled from my collection of parts I've accumulated. Basically, let's put it together and let's see if it runs. If it runs, and we'll in the future maybe paint it a little bit nicer, finish it a little bit nicer, or leave it as it is and just ride it, which is what I build. I don't build things to just sit on the shelf or just sit and look good. Everything I work on the purpose is to get them running and ride them. So from start to finish, this bike took me about a year and a half, maybe a bit longer. But a lot of it was waiting on parts, trying to find parts, and trying to find parts at a reasonable cost. Some of this stuff is extremely expensive. Those gas tanks, if I had to buy them, they'd be probably $2,500. I think I paid a couple $100 for them, but I had to do a lot of work. So as you can see right now, we're rebuilding the wheels, all new bearings, checking the end play, new tires, had to assemble a bunch of brakes that I had lying around, new sprocket, I believe, on the brake drum I put, and just, had all these parts lying around that would work on this. I had a rear crash bar, toolbox, rear rack. It just looked the part, some spotlights. I had to repin the inlets for the intake, like the screw-in they're almost like a threaded in insert. That was challenging, but they work fine now. Had to rewire the entire or wire the entire bike. Added that front fender light just because I had one. Had some exhaust that came with the bike, and just basically rated my parts just to assemble this bike. But this is like a dream bike for me. I've always wanted one of these. A friend of mine had one back in the day, back in the 80s, told me stories about it, and it just grew inside me. I had to have one. Personally, I'd rather have a big inch flathead over a knucklehead, and this is, again, my dream bike. One of the things I did do is I upgraded to a 12-volt generator relay, just because of you can see better at night. I got the transmission rebuilt from my friend Ron at Innovative Cycle in Winnipeg. He did a remarkable job. All kinds of new components in it, and it's in the bike now. The seat is an original style pre-war seat. New clutch, new chains, new oil lines. There was a lot of new parts that I just didn't have lying around. And yet you have to find and buy. There is another video I have on the rebuild of those gas tanks if you're interested. They came out so nice. I mean, I'm not a body guy. This was done with a spray can, but with those speedball emblems and the shifter with the dice shifter knob, it just looks so good to me. This is still in the basement workshop. So this is the first time it was on the ground in this picture. And this is where we start pulling it out of the basement. We're using a backhoe with a winch, some straps, and some friends. You can see we're at the bottom of the stairs. And even though it's being pulled up by a winch, it's still physically demanding. But we got her up. At the same time, we had pulled up a 1942 Harley 45 I had also built. We're lifting it out of the house with the backhoe. And there's a finished bike, and here's a video of it running. There will be more videos of some of the other bikes I've built in the past. So subscribe and like, comment below, and I hope you enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed building them.